Hello everyone, we're the CapMetro team. Our project is a real-time bus tracking application which we built for Austin's public transit system that updates bus locations every 15 seconds using data from the Texas Open Data Portal. Users can view individual routes or all CapMetro lines simultaneously on an interactive map. We make it easy with being able to plan trips and so that you can avoid long waits at bus stops. The application includes the ability to save routes and trips for ease of use with Google Authentication login. This tool transforms static bus schedules into actionable real-time information that Austin residents can actually use to make their transportation decisions better. This is important because there's 90,000 people that use the CapMetro daily. And the number one frustration of transit users is not only long wait times, but also not knowing when the wait times will end, as well as not being able to plan their trips. By providing our live bus locations every 15 seconds, we're giving Austin's 1.3 million transit users the power to plan their day and have accurate information about the CapMetro transit system. Here is a technical architecture done by Keisha. Keisha, do you want to take over and explain a bit?
Yeah, so the core components of the technical architecture are seen in the container blog. So you can see that our front-end, back-end, and database are all hosted in DigitalOcean. And then you can see how that interacts with our clients through the web browser with our WebSockets and REST API calls. So this is just like a general overview of the core softwares we're using in our project.
Perfect. And for implementation progress, we have a deployment up and running. We have the responsive UI, backend API connected, and the data, and a populated data table, which we are in use. The application is working, and we believe that our features provide the functionality needed for users, and we're expecting that our production level deployment will be up and running soon.
All right, for the demo, I'm just going to open up the website. So here's the website. Let's first log out. So when you first visit the website, you're going to see the map. You're going to have some map controls on the bottom right corner. You can search up an address, and it's going to pinpoint to that location. You can open up some routes, and it's going to pull up the buses on that routes. You can click on the bus icons. You can click on the stop icons for more information. You can also show all of the routes, and you can hide all of them. And you can, of course, hide and open up this modal, and you also have satellite view. So let me try favoriting this route, but it says we can't because we need to log in. So I'm going to hand off to Clarissa so that she can explain about the login features.
Yes, sorry. It was trying to get the sharing screen to work. And so, yes, the next feature that we have is the ability to favorite routes. Of course, you have to log in. So right now we have that done through Google Auth, but we will in the future have regular logging in through email and password, as well as creating accounts through outside of Google as well. So right now I can just log in through Google, and I am able to click on these stars to save these routes. And I should be able to also see the routes in my favorites and saved trips and plans as well. So going to the plan trips, you should be able to see your routes over here. And if you have saved trips, you can also see that as well. And I can hand that off to Seisha to explain that as well.
Yeah. So let's go back here. All right, so let's log in again with my account. And once we're logged in, let's go to plan trips and we can open up the saved, and you can see I already have some trips favorited. So before we do that, let me explain about the places search functionality. So let's say we search for the Statue of Liberty, and it's going to pull up all information about the Statue of Liberty, and it's going to pan to the location. And if you want to click on the directions, we can click on the directions and it'll pull up the transit directions. Well, Statue of Liberty is not in Texas, so let's search up for some place that's within Texas. So let's say we go to Gallery of Pets, and then when we click on directions, it auto-populates the destination field, and then we just need to enter the origin. So let's say Austin, and then you get the list of routes that are available. So you can click through all these, and it's gonna pan accordingly. Also, it pulls up the routes for which are being used for that specific navigation. So route number 803, route number 383, and route number 20 are all being visible. So all of their buses are here. Of course, these routes extend to other locations than just the navigation. So that's why you see the buses outside of those lines. Um, and we also have options to change the departing time. So let's say we depart at say 2 p.m. and you can see that it changed our departing time. And we can also say we want to arrive by 2 p.m. So that's changed now. And we can also have the options for fewer transfers or less walking. And you can see how the save this route button is being updated. So since I already have the fewer transfers route favorited, which is right here from Austin to Gallery of Pets, it says we already have this route favorited, so we can unsave it. But we don't have the less walking one. So this one is the reverse. It's from Gallery of Pets to Austin, but we don't have one from Austin to Gallery of Pets. So let's say we save this route, it's going to pop up here, and we can just go back in here and then click on this to get the navigation modal pulled up instead of having to enter all of this manually. And of course, we can swap the locations, and it's going to change the routes. Um, but yeah, another feature is when we click on the details option, it's going to pull up all the details about the route itself, how many minutes you have to walk, how many miles you got to walk, how many stops for each transit, and yeah, and you also get the cost of the ride. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We tried to mimic Google's UI as much as possible. And yeah, closing on it will get you back to the places search feature, and closing on that will get you completely back to the homepage. And yeah, we can log out, and it's going to clear everything, and we can go back to home. Let's switch back to the slideshow.
Okay, yeah. So starting now, we are going to go to the backend development. So CapMetro's real-time app shows live bus location to users every 15 seconds. And each user's only receive the updates they care about, which keeps the app fast and reduce the loads on the devices. This was done through using WebSockets. So originally, live updates were done via HTTP requests, which caused delays and wasn't truly real time. So to solve this, we came up with a WebSocket architecture, and I implemented a WebSocket system with per session routing, where each session tracks which route a user is viewing, and the backend only sends them the relevant bus data. We also set up a database connection pool that handles around 60 concurrent users in our test, and likely more. Additionally, a front-end API key was added to secure the backend from bots and crawlers, so there is not too much heavy of traffic on the backend. We load tested the system with about 300 simulated users over 60 seconds, adding 5 users per second, and everything stayed stable with 0 errors. So through this project, I've learned WebSockets and how to implement them from scratch, applied object-oriented principles for session-based updates, and through that, we are able to achieve a core component of CapMetro, which is the real-time bus app, real-time updates. Handing off to Darren.
All right. Hello. My name is Darren Collingwood. I was a backend developer on the team. Some of the things I did included writing a lot of the API you see on screen here. I was also responsible for doing a lot of the authentication on the backend. I wrote the JWT token authentication, as well as set up the Google authentication on the backend. I also did a lot of the unit tests that we use on both the front and back end. And I worked on WebSockets on the front end. So that's most of it.
Hello, my name is Shruti and I work primarily on the back end. Some of the stuff I worked on was optimizing queries by creating indexes and materialized views. And then I also worked a little bit on the security side by working on CSRF protection specifically. It was mainly for like if we had a regular login option, how would we secure it? And then I also worked on the stops info APIs called specifically. So like all the information you see when you click on a bus about like arrival time and next stop, those come from these API calls primarily. And then I also worked on end-to-end testing, which I mainly use Playwright, and I've developed 3 so far that comprehensively test all the features that Seisha and Clarissa showed you guys. And that's about it.
Hi, I'm Keisha. So I worked as a backend developer and mainly worked on the GTFS data fetch script, which is our static data source, and the database. So whether that was maintenance or structural changes. One obstacle I came across is learning how to navigate prioritizing security and preventative measures when it came to the database. So to fix this, I did a few things. One, added a local backup to the data fetch script, meaning our database was never fully compromised, so we were always able to revert back to an old version of the database. And then like a bigger structural change I made to the project is that we have materialized views for each of our static data table sets. So our websites continuously query from the views themselves, so we constantly have a usable database. And hand in hand with that, I worked a lot with DigitalOcean and have learned a lot about the database permissions and connections and like how to navigate any issues we may come across with a host like DigitalOcean.
May worked a lot for us. She did the swagger.io, and she's been a pivotal contribution to the project, as well as Yoma, who is unable to join us, but said he had a great experience working with students that had more experience than him and learning how to work with React. And next slide, we also have done very comprehensive documentation, which will help the next students when we hand off and give this project to a new cohort. We have a docs folder, which contains documentation on the backend, front end, database, deployment, and testing, as well as type docs for the front end, which I completed myself, which comprehensively go over components and pages, and the swagger.io, which was done by May.
So for what's to come, we've already started on developing a React Native version of this web application. We have a basic version working with 3 onboarding slides and a basic map and displaying a list of routes that are available. We haven't added much functionality, but that's what's to come in the next couple of semesters.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. Do you have any questions? That is all.